there we go. Live. Jack, can you hear us? Is it working? Is this thing on? Tom, say something.
Tap. Hello, Internet.
Oh, we never do live things. I feel so nervous. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Together. Thank you for joining us for an evening of talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Chris, and I was going to say I'll be your host tonight, but that's not fair. Tom and I are both hosting and both answering questions tonight. It's trying out a different sort of formatty thing. Thank you very much. The kobolds tell us they can hear us. That's
Thanks,
good.
kobolds.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, Tom and I will be chatting to each other. We'll be taking questions from chat if you want to pop some questions in there. We have some questions from our company Discord and from our fan Discord and from Twitter, so we'll also throw those in as well. Thank you for sharing those there. So no dice deciding questions today. That's just not happening. That's just not a thing. It's not like I really use them much when I'm running one of these anyway, but yeah. Anyway, we are sponsored, my friends. Hero Forge, Ultra Pro, Phoenix Dice, Alchemy RPG, and we are supported by D&D Beyond, Warriors of Waterdeep, Neverwinter, and Elderwood Academy. Lovely stuff. Right, we are All Together RPG on all the socials. Massive thank you to the D20 Club. You are wonderful, you are splendid, you are awesome, and you know who you are. That you can join them on Patreon. There'll be a link in chat at some point. And all our shows are available as podcasts. Just search for Roll Together RPG on your favourite podcast. That's right, Troutworthy, don't roll that dice. Today we are not rolling that dice. That is absolutely correct. We will not.
I mean, we could. It's not going to affect anything.
Oh, hang on. Let me just roll. Let's prove that point. Tom, roll the dice.
Okay.
What'd you get?
That's a 12.
Oh, very nice. I got a 19, so I'll ask the first question.
Well done.
There we go. Now, I'm going to go off piste immediately, and I'm going to ask a question that I want to ask you that is not from anyone else. It's just from me to you, Tom.
Ooh, scary.
Tom, yeah.
Yes.
You ready? Ready for this? Mm-hmm. Tom, you are a very talented actor.
I'm going to look a bit embarrassed there, but thank you.
You have a theatre career.
Mm-hmm.
It's going well.
Sure.
Yeah. How have you found, in terms of role-playing games online, what we do, this lovely thing that we do, and theatre, how have you found that in terms of overlap, in terms of transferable skills, in terms of new skills, that sort of thing?
A very interesting question. Yes, so a lot of the stuff that I do is immersive, interactive. So there is actually quite a big crossover already, sort of. And I found actually, I would say from doing this, I've actually have improved. It has sort of, after having like a couple of years where everything went a bit quiet, and then doing this, sort of just again, sort of like being able to, like, especially like with immersive stuff where you're like, okay, we need to have, I'm trying to think of the best way of putting this, so like organized chaos, rather, or maybe chaotic order, maybe it's around that way, where everything's on the rails, but there's enough that we could just go, okay, we'll go off this way, but now we need to come back. And just again, sort of like, so I sort of like a couple of months ago was doing a show of mine, which is a immersive augmented reality show about the history of British circus. I'm telling, it's like an end of the peer show. I'm telling stories, things are coming out of the suitcase, but also sort of like having done stuff where just actually like Nat and M came, and then someone like who knew them was like, now make sure you don't derail him, and they were like, we're not quite sure how we are going to do that. We kind of want to now, but that same sort of idea of just like I think it's also the great, like the same thing with D&D, like if you're going to ask a question, expect there to be an answer, and also just sort of like to be able to just go, but also at the same time be able to go, I don't know, rather than just sort of like, or that's something, I'm not blocking you, or especially
like the interrelation between TTRPGs and improv.
Yes, that same sort of thing where you're like, you're not necessarily, you're not blocking it, but also especially like with immersive, being able to just go, cool, I'm not going to do that. I understand that you're trying to, say, rile me up. You're trying to get a reaction out of me. And then just sort of like going, whatever you say, friend. Just like, so I find it's been really sort of I don't know. It's almost like, I know it sounds weird, but it's almost like it's taught me more patience.
Yeah.
you know, just sort of like, and also especially like doing sort of roll together stuff where, and I think this is just good for D&D in general. It's like, cool, you've got your own narrative. Just try not to step on anyone. But because there was something that it's always funny how like these little like, I think it was a TikTok went where someone was like, the thing is that when you're watching a stream, these are not the people you would want to actually play with. And then I'm like, I actually do play with some of these people.
You're a streamer. That is different. I totally understand. Like, I can think of streams that I have watched in the past or have engaged with where I'd go, I wouldn't want to play with these people, but I'm watching them have disasters, and that's kind of the joy of that stream. But that's a very different kind of stream. That's voyeuristic, indulgent, whereas I feel like we tend to stream as we play in our home games. It's pretty much the same thing. So yeah, exactly.
And I mean, a lot of the people that we do stuff with do work in theatre, do work in the arts. There is a certain amount of, we understand the performance, but also being able to just go, similar sort of thing of like going, okay, someone's thrown a proverbial punch. We're rolling with it. We're keeping it going. Especially with this, where we're like, we've got 3 hours. I understand you want to go into the woods for a bit, but you can't.
Well, I think if there's one thing that streaming has taught me that I wouldn't have thought of at this point is the value of how long things take, of time. Like, in home game environments, I am very used to streaming for playing for hours on end, and that's totally fine and whatever. Whereas you must contain yourself to 3 hours. A 3-hour one-shot, what can you actually fit into a 3-hour one-shot? The answer is not very much. So that sort of time, that's a thing I really picked up over the years, is that sense of timekeeping, definitely.
And I think, again, like, talking about, like, immersive stuff, where you've got that same thing where you're like, okay, it's being polite as well. It's also sort of going, I know that something else is going in there. You need to go see Gatsby, you know? I don't want to just keep you... although if you go to something like Punch Drunk, where you're like, I'm just going to stand in this room for an hour, you know? Plot is happening elsewhere, and if I miss it, that's not my fault.
You have one up on me here, because as previously... I'm not sure as previously discussed, but I don't think we've ever mentioned this. I don't really like immersive theatre.
No, we have talked about this. It just
it kicks all my anxiety triggers.
Absolutely, and I think I was like, well, that's fair. Like, yeah, no, it's a very like like I'm going to see a friend's show in a couple of weeks, and I was just like looking at the accessibility stuff. First of all, because I was trying to work out how long it was, but then I was looking at it, and it was like, the actors will come near you, but they will not speak to you, and I was like, that makes sense. That's sort of, I think that's an interesting thing that seems to be happening now. I think a couple of years ago, someone was like, you need to tell people if there's going to be audience interaction because I have anxiety. Yes. And people were quite rude about that. And then I was like, no, actually, you know,
Theatre people? Rude? Come now.
You would be amazed that they have opinions, yeah. And they want to express it on, isn't it? The stage. yeah.
You can't say my art is wrong.
I know. It's art. I'm great, and I resent the fact that you don't find me great.
Theatre.
So in a roundabout way, very, very helpful. You know, sort of, as I said, sort of learning. I think there is quite a lot of crossover between like the people who are like, I like doing immersive stuff and I like doing D&D, you know, but again, it's just it's fun, it's game, it's all games, everything's games. People are coming to see, you know,
Have you got a question for me, Tom? Since I opened up,
you won the initiative.
You can take one from any of the Twitters, the chat. Is there one in chat? No, it's all just comments on immersive theatre. Correct. Immersive theatre can be quite a struggle for the introverted in general. I agree, Troutworthy. I agree 100%.
Absolutely, in that same sort of. And again, sort of like for my own personal thing, where I've always sort of gone, if there's going to be anyone who's being a fool, it's me. I'm not here to embarrass you, but also a lot of it is being able to like read context clues, where you're like, is that person just very shy, or. I mean, sorry, I'm going to keep going about this, but there's sort of there's a terminology that they use in theme parks where there's like 3 different levels of people who come, where it's like there's like the waders who will go out a little bit. They're willing to go so far.
Right.
Then there's the swimmers who obviously really want to get, and then there's the divers who want all the plot and want like everything about the Haunted Mansion.
I see.
And that's the same thing with this, where you're just like, are you here because you just want to play some games, or do you want to go into a corner and just talk to Alan Turing for a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like going to Punch Drunk, which is hilarious, where you're just watching people just pushing past you and going, I'm going to read this paper now. And you're like, okay. You seem fun.
Yeah, that side of it really bugs me.
Yes, no, I think as absolutely, sort of. And I think possibly it's my own egotism where I'm like, haha, I get to create things that are different. And that's why I like it. It's the fact that, it's so responsive. Yes, let's talk more about me. No. I can't be Question Lord, so I will be the focus.
It's a good title. It's a good second title. Question Lord, i.e. the focus. It's like Metal Gear Solid villain.
Okay, so yes, this is again. This is from our Discord.
Okay.
So I'm gonna paraphrase it.
It's the long
Chris,
one. Okay.
Yeah, it's the long one. I mean, awesome Jumbo, you're great. It's a long question. Yeah,
Jim's a good person.
It's a good question. So basically, saying it's been about 5 years since all of this started, going back to a 250-hour game at the Edinburgh Fringe. And it basically just sort of, again, there's some lovely stuff talking about like finding the community. But the question is, looking back 5 years, 250-hour game, what sort of advice would you give your previous self, words of encouragement, and is there anything you would do differently? Which is always a really hard and horrible question. But I mean,
there have been so many ruptions and things on the way that I probably want to advise of avoiding all of them. But I mean, that's impossible. I think starting out when Chloe and I first started working as Adventurers Wanted, the focus was on live. It was on making live shows. Like, we streamed alongside that, but the quality was awful. You can still see it on YouTube, it's still there. And the focus was on getting people in the room, getting getting actors to play, and then getting audience members to play as well. So there was this large focus on interactivity and D&D, where if you've never played before, here is an opportunity to play. If that's something that you would be scared of, it's a place where you can do it on stage, which sounds scary, but is actually not, and a chance to engage with all of that. So it was designed much more as like an intro to D&D kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. That was great fun. The ability to do that at the Fringe as well. I mean, some of us have experienced it at the Fringe, some of us have not. But it's like an arts festival where you're on doing something, shows, engaging, drinking, going out for food, whatever, 24 hours a day. And because of that, you can do these crazy ideas like running a 250-hour D&D game, which was, 4 different DMs, a huge amount of time spent balancing different ideas and stories and how to write adventures for something like that, where every hour the players would change. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a big gear shift from my DMing experience by that point, which was not a lot. And I learned a lot of on the fly how to deal with DMing situations in that I wouldn't be as comfortable and confident DMing now if I hadn't had the opportunity then to be thrown in the deep end. Because I stepped in for one of the DMs. There were originally 3 DMs, and one of them had to step back because of availability and time, and the amount of time that it took. And that was, very much a deep end kind of thing. So I think in terms of advice, I think there would be a certain amount of, from a like DMing perspective, this may seem like a huge amount of work, but it's worth it because of the result that will come out of it. I really enjoyed the interactivity, playing with lots of new people, getting the opportunity to show people how D&D works, but quickly what it established was that there are people who need that first kick, that first push, that first D&D is not that difficult, but more people wanted to watch and literally just see what was happening, and we ended up having this sort of large group of people where it got bigger and bigger who played. But it wasn't like, oh, this rando came in, played for now and disappeared again. Occasionally it was, but more often than not what we ended up with was we've organised 20 players who are like core company who are playing, and now it's 40 because these people have bought tickets and bought loads of tickets and really become part of this sort of found family of this here. So it was just like a very large game played by a lot of people. And there was a realisation there that actually... Well, the realisation in me, that actually what we are doing here is we're making a live show for 40 people, you know, and then the audience who come and sit in the room and watch it is relatively minimal. Like over the course of 250 hours, I think we sold 7,000 tickets, which sounds like a lot, but if you consider that 4,000 people watch our streams weekly, it's not the same. And we started noticing that the stream numbers would be adding in a considerable number of people, and my focus then drew towards online, because by that point I was already looking into playing online because it suits my character better. We then started running games online, had some lovely early on support from Wizards of the Coast and some other people to get that ball rolling. And the realization that online a lot of people could see it, and then seeing in chat where a lot of people were going, I've not played in years, it's lovely to see people who are this engaging to watch actual plays as an opportunity to see that actually this is not rocket science, was also a really big Kickstarter in that way. And then when AW, went its separate ways and Roll Together formed out of it, the focus of that was always online. It was about getting more people at the table who were not necessarily able to be visible in live stream context, often to do with gender or sexuality. And also to find a way to pay everybody, because by that point we'd run 250 hours and paid people like next to nothing. And it felt a bit like this is potentially exploitative. And the ability to go, actually, no, we want everyone to be paid. And then working out that we could pay everyone from the word go with the sponsors that we had, and finding some new ones who are willing to support that. And going, okay, we can afford to pay everyone. That's what this is now. It's about getting loads of people to play and DM and try out their ideas and things, giving them all the opportunity to do so, and paying everybody for their time. And that then became the focus and the drive. I think if you told me when we started doing live shows that would be what the focus and drive became, I'd see the progression.
You can see, the link,
I think I'd see that, because I enjoy live theatre. I used to work in live theatre, but online, especially with things like Twitch, the interactivity you can have with, there's a chat running right now, we can talk to people. There's a follow-up question, which I will answer in a sec, Chad, thank you. The ability to, make shows that are ongoing. Like, we've not got a single campaign 1, 2, 3 narrative that we've run for years on end, but the story's still interlinked, and we've got all of these characters and these worlds. Like, I think I've said it before, my favourite thing that our fans have done is the wiki, because it's this is all one world. You are watching a variety of amazing stories from amazing people, and they all interconnect a little. Like, those webs of connectivity are what make me really happy, and seeing ways to visualize that web of connectivity is really, really nice too. So would I give any advice to myself now then? I think it'd just still be go for it. It would be push this. You did. It was worth it. Don't lose sight of why it's worth it for you, and you will find people who will agree with you on that where you feel comfortable. There's another question from James in a minute, but this refers to that, where you feel comfortable to just go, these people are all singing from the same hymn sheet, we're all good people, we're all incredibly reliable, trustworthy. I don't need to be there.
Sure.
We all agree on what we're trying to do here, so I don't need to be pushing that from behind the scenes. It will happen organically by itself now, as long as we have a channel to put it on. that's the main thing. So I think that saying it's all worth it will all be worth it is possibly the thing that will come through the most.
Just you flashing past it, like, have faith
in yourself, it will all be worth it. Something to remind myself every day. But yes,
I think that's really sweet. Like, I don't know if you know this, but so the way I found out about Adventurers Wanted is, so it used to be, for those of you who haven't known, it used to be at the Rosemary Ranch in London.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
And there was a live podcast called The Unseen Hour. I used to record there. Yes. Who I had connections to. I wrote for. I performed with, and Ed would come and support it. So I became friends with Ed through that. Yeah, sort of
Yeah, he invited me to go along to one at one point. I don't remember.
And it was a good time, and you know, sad that it's not on, like so many things.
Yeah.
And then I was in Edinburgh, and like going up the Royal Mile, and Ed was coming down the other way, and I was like, "Oh, great, hello!" And he had a show on, and I said, "Oh, I'll come see your show," and he just went, "Oh, please don't." I was like, "Oh dear." And he's like, "I'll tell you what I am doing though. I'm doing this like 250-hour D&D thing." Which I think my timing I think it was like I was going to leave in a couple of days. My timing just didn't work out. And then I went to like a mixer for like an immersive stuff, and Chloe was there, and Chloe just started to go, "Oh, I do this 250-hour thing," and I went, "Oh, Adventures Wanted," and they just looked startled.
People know who we are.
Yeah, no, I think they were like, I think they said that was one of the greatest feelings in the world when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I know of you, and I know you are." Good, because I hear this. And then so then I started coming to support, and
when we did the live shows, we were doing weekly. Was it weekly? No, it was monthly. It was monthly live shows.
Had to be monthly.
Earlier iterations of all the live show content, and then other Edinburgh shows after that.
And then I did come to Edinburgh.
And you played and brought your mum.
I brought my mum, and my mum played, and she just was like, that was very scary.
She was very sweet.
But yes, so that was the thing, because M very kindly sort of talked her through the sheet, and so that's the thing where that's my mum's connection, is like M was very nice to me, and I was like, yeah, M is very nice, and just like that's a weird thing. It's like, you were nice to my mum, and that's good.
Yeah, Tom's reminding everyone that you were very nice to his mum at one point. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry.
But yes, I think. Oh yeah, you had some. Did you have some follow up?
There was a follow up question from Trout that I want to answer. Also, just to not drop Ed in it. Ed's show that year was diabolically bad, and it's not his fault. He was casting something and said, "I'll do it," and we had long chats about how he was using the D&D show as a mental health support system while in Edinburgh, because he needed friends who were going to be nice instead of doing a dreary show that really took him out of life.
I mean, that is the issue with Edinburgh, where you just sort of like, I've got this show on, it's on at like 11 o'clock in the morning, everyone's hungover. It's a kid's show, no, just sort of like just turning up and like, hooray, it's a puppet show.
You know what the worst thing is in Edinburgh? We'll have one final Edinburgh comment and we'll move on from it. But the first year I did Edinburgh, I produced, directed, teched a show, and I was doing voices off stage for the comedian who was doing the comedy show. And because I was doing the voices off, we kept varying what I was saying, because we had voiceovers from Tim Minchin and a bunch of other quite famous comedians, because Andy knew it. And it was very much how can we keep this funny for ourselves? Because we've been doing it for 35 days, and it's the same thing over and over, and it's comedy, there's no freshness, there's no audience interaction on this. It's literally just bang, bang, bang through comedy songs. Oh, it was a lot. That was a trial by fire. But yes, any plans to do another live show like that in the future? Maybe. What we've talked about quite generally is doing live performance at cons, because we have some contacts people at cons, and that would be just a group of us going, performing, and then leaving. So I don't think we do the interactivity thing anymore. I think the point of the interactivity was engagement, and was giving people a chance to play, and that worked better in the context of 250 hours. You can play whenever you want. It's ease of access. Whereas I think now we'd probably use an opportunity to just perform, make it as a performative show. I think the answer to that is maybe, but probably more in a performative context than an interactive context.
Also, we have to see what's happening with the world at the moment.
God, yeah.
So like, we're just, again, I said I managed to do a show end of March, beginning of April, and we scraped by.
I have my theatre work has dried up completely. I say it. I have let it by choice. I mean, A, this keeps me extremely busy, which is fantastic, and I really enjoy it. But B, there is nothing more demoralising than trying to promote in the current climate. Because promoting shows in this climate is terrible, because people say, I could come, but it might be dangerous for me to come. And it's my job then to say, nah, you'll be fine, which is, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't promise anything. And then
no, and I had a show where the producer literally asked me to do that, and I went, okay. I've spent most of my PR career not being a venal jerk, and I like that. So I'd like to not fall into that anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the answer. I mean, I say that's how I feel. If one of our players or DMs said, "I'd love to do something big and interactive again," I wouldn't say no. I'd say, if you want to run it, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I've learned and we can work it out. But I feel like it's less my choice, and that's correct. It shouldn't just be my choice anyway. I don't have creative control or anything like that. So from my perspective, I don't want to. That doesn't mean that other people can't. Anyway.
I mean, again, it's that thing. It's like, I'd love to do it. You're like, there's many things you would love to do, but I said, like, in the current climate, and because
I'd give you a list of all the pitfalls from the last couple of times and go, if you can find ways around these, I'm happy to help organise it. But,
people will kick glasses over mid-show. Just be prepared for that. All sorts of weird. Yeah.
Let's not talk about the nonsense, Mike.
Yeah, that's avoid the nonsense.
The other thing. Okay, that's another thing. Edinburgh, people are drunk all the time, and that was sometimes a pain in the ass. Tom, I have a question for you from the Discord.
Oh, thank you, Discord.
I'm going to ask you the Oh Poppet question because Sean's here. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Sean.
Tom, you're known for your Oh Poppet characters, but where do you get your inspiration? Do you start off with a tragic backstory in mind, or do tragic things just keep happening to your NPCs? I was going to say to you.
Yeah, I take it so personally. I'm just like, because that was the funny thing that I think I vaguely promised. I was like, the next character I play will not be a poppet. And it was Giacomo, who was dead. And Giacomo, who basically had his entire life ruined over the course. And then I even, in the talk together, made it worse. So I was like, yeah, doesn't love his wife yet. Hopes that will come. Yeah.
Oh God, that really killed me.
Yeah,
I remember that absolutely killed me.
Because it's the tragedy. It's the. I think I like talking to David. I described it like it's that sort of romance novel ending of like doing up my tie. I was like, I think it would be right if you leave. The carriage could take you, but I think I even like sort of like the introduction I had when I was joining the company described my work as: you're walking through a park, it's a lovely summer's day, you have a balloon, you trip over, you damage your knee, the balloon kills a bird, your face falls off. Just it escalates. Which
I have a conjecture.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you're very good at seeing the tragedy in things. And I don't mean that in like a tragic person, not at all. I think you are very, very good at seeing where something has pathos, where something has... where someone can draw an empathetic connection between what someone is going through, what a character is going through, and something they can relate to themselves. I think you have a very, very good eye for that. And when an opportunity arises, you go, thank you.
Well, again, like looking at Flustered, where I was like, okay, I'm going on this journey.
Why are we looking at Flustered, Tom? Why are we looking at Flustered?
Well, just you know who's a charmer? Pip.
Pip's charmer.
Yeah. Pip's a charmer. This is where chat's like, we hate Pip, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, it's a tragedy. Yes, but that sort of idea of like going, okay, Pip's going on a journey now, mostly thanks to Ogden. I will try and be a better person, and I will try, and then also I think this is my own personal thing, and I'm glad D&D is turning this way, where you're going, people aren't inherently evil. There's reasons, but that's sort of just to go up to a Darkling and go, no, bad. And then M being great and just going, yeah, the Darklings are just like, well, we're scared and confused. And then Pip go, well, you're my boys now. And the moment I start,
But there's the point. Like, they're enemies in D&D. You knock out or kill the enemy and you move on. Except you went, no, there's pathos here. Yeah. You found it, and then the DM, in this case M, went, oh, you want pathos, do you? Here is your pathos. And you didn't do what a lot of players do and go, oh, no, I don't want pathos. You went, yes, give me that pain. I will make it my own pain.
I think because I inherently set things up because I keep giving myself like NPC best friends who are animals. It's like
You've
Star
been
Trek.
Married more than anyone else in the entire company on stream.
It's true.
I've had one proposal as Gertie, which wasn't a real proposal.
I'd still love that moment. Like, what do I do with this? And also,
I'm really flattered.
It's now the time. And then that was the thing that is, again, we're talking about the tragedy of the missing episode of Flustered, where the Darklings were murdered. You know, we came out of our hut and
all killed.
And you know, apart from like I think two.
Yeah,
I think
two
I
survived briefly, and then it got a lot worse for them because they got hurt continuously.
Yes, yeah. And then I just had to go to Em and go, can baby Darkling, the one who lay down, pretend to be dead? I can't take it. You know, and just, but it is that sort of thing where, again, like when you get given like, say, animal NPCs, like another example, different thing. Not Enough D&D podcast have a moment where it's like you have a dog. Yeah. It is a dog, and Murph actually says, if you bring the dog into combat, I will kill the dog. Yeah. You know that. And then just go. But that same sort of idea. I think, again, maybe it's just the way my brain's wired, where I'm like, cool, I'll just make something tragic from this. You know, something sad or kind of like...
It's easier to play. It's easier to find the tragedy and play the tragedy over potentially playing... Because you can rack up the tragedy and make it ridiculous. Which is also a way of finding humour. Yeah. But I think that's the point, is I personally find it very hard to play funny characters. I find it very hard to go, here's a joke, because it's not who I am in real life. So finding a way of having that sort of sense of story and humour through extreme pathos might just be one of your fallbacks, which is totally fine.
Yeah, I think so. You know, sort of darker sense of humour.
Em's in the same room and has come on chat to defend... Tom chose to take those Darklings on the adventure. I did warn him.
No, my boys, my sweet baby boys, they were going to have cake. They had cake for the first time. My sons. They're all my sons.
Do you have anything to add? Oh, we're going to get more in chat now.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Tragedy is easy, comedy is hard. I agree.
Yes.
And thanks, Nost. And using tragedy to find comedy, to find engagement and pathos, I think that's... Yeah,
I think it's
and
also...
No one saw it. Yeah. That's true, Sean. It was lost to the web hags. It went forever. Shame.
I mean, the other argument you can make is that we're adventurers, and happy people will not go off on these adventures most of the time. You know,
I think if I've played any happy characters, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Most of my characters are. Well, they're all right. None of them are that bad.
I mean, there's different levels, but you know, there's a want, or you need to fix something, or I'm still looking forward to the episode where we all just go have a picnic and it's lovely, and we just we have a really lovely day out.
The characters in Anarchy in the Astral Sea are not sad.
No,
they have a very. Some of them have tragedy.
I was going to say Ricky getting terrified and like, oh no!
My character has no tragedy. Actually, my character does have tragedy. It's just buried away, and I don't think we're going to get to it, and that's fine. Like I don't need it to.
I think when you sort of like, if you look into the greater context of it, where you're like, you're a murderer. Yeah, there's.
I've hinted at it a couple of times, but I don't want to like make it a massive plot point. No. I'm very happy to be something that just comes in over time.
Yeah, you are separated from a greater. Yeah, there's sort of like inherently, and now you're just like, I'm
called incorrect. Correct. And that's how they see themselves. Oh, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah,
I mean.
Oh, it's a tragic one if you get there, but we don't need to get there, and it's fine if we don't. I don't mind if we don't. It's really just for me.
Yes, and that's the trick. Where you're like, I know, and I think there's also a certain amount, like, I wouldn't say glibness, where I'm just like, cool, I'm just going to add this extra layer of just like, for example, Zeleny has never had a relationship with everyone because she believes there are inherent laws. And then when other people go, you don't have to do this, then she's like, I have nothing else, you know, there's a tragedy there where just like, to just have it taken away and just go, just go have a nice time, Zeleny. Don't cry. The fact that I went through this big conflict and then David just threw me in a pond, which I think is, again, where you're looking for...
David to do. David does tend to break down walls, which is nice, actually, as a character.
But even that, where I was like, cool, there's just some bubbles and they stop. And I was like, David, I will drown out of spite.
Sam has asked, are there any happy characters in the Togetherverse? But I don't think that's directed at us.
Interesting. That's a good...
Morse mentions that he always... I assume, I don't know. They always wanted to play a commuter character, just a dad teleporting out to adventure for the day and teleporting back at the end of the day. That's quite cute as well.
But then, of course, the inherent thing is like, your house is just not there anymore. It's not destroyed. It's just been warped away. And then... Actually,
Sam says it is now the question.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting challenge to play a happy...
Gertie was very happy.
Gertie Gertie also had the moment where Pip tried to throw himself into a... What had I done? Yes, because that's the thing. In the deleted episode, Pip nearly threw himself into a crevasse to save the others. But when we were being attacked by the Roper...
Sad. I was furious.
Yes.
Sorry, Gertie was furious.
Gertie was furious. But you also had that moment of just going... I felt helpless in that moment, which there's a sadness to that of they're just going, this is my job. I'm supposed to protect you.
Got over it really quickly.
I mean, Gertie wears their heart on their sleeve. But Gertie does not have a poker face, which I love, where it's like, I don't like the mayor. I hate the mayor.
I have found something to irrationally hate, and now I'm going to. Just...
Again, it's that sort of guttural.
All right, Trackworthy's thrown in. Nate was a cheery sort. That's correct. Valka was happy and now no more. That is also true.
Wilby had a moment of happiness and then it all just
went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone who's just... I mean, Cooper made a point earlier. Where'd that comment go? Happy characters have very limited to adventure, is what you said earlier. Yeah. The idea that happy characters have no reason to go and risk life and limb. I think there's something to that. I think that it's as a concept, D&D lends itself to characters with flaws that need to be dealt with or tragedy needs to be dealt with. I can see that too. Yeah.
Although I do like the idea of the commuting dad that just sort of comes in and is like, okay, I'm going back home. Or it's the end of Clue. It's like, I'm going home to have sex with my wife, and then just leaves. And like, what an ending. Yeah, have you never seen Clue?
I have, but I didn't remember that.
So obviously there's the multiple endings, and then there's one where it turns out, I'm trying to think, is it the Reverend Green? It's like, it turns out to be an FBI agent. And then they were like, and again, they was like, I'm glad I solved it, and now I'm going home to have sex with my wife. And then
is that Tim Curry? It sounds like a Tim Curry, isn't it?
No, it's not. It should, Tim Curry in that film.
Sean points out that the Cookie Crumbles characters were all very cheery.
Yes,
it's Panto.
Yes, and then I made things worse by getting married to a cow.
Well,
and then...
Okay, your character and Ed's character weren't cheery. Ed's character, because it was the point of Ed's character. Yeah. And Nost, what a great movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't barely remember it, but yeah, I agree, it was a good movie. Some of them were happy.
Yeah.
But also some of them were very dim.
Yeah.
Are there some very dim characters that are happy?
There's... Again, it's that old sort of, is it better to be Plato dissatisfied than a pig satisfied? You know, sort of, yeah. Which is I'm basically slandering the dim characters there, but yes, again.
I think we should ask another question, Tom. I think
let's move on.
Rambling ourselves into a corner.
I could talk about following a thruple. Seems to be a resolution for most of my romantic things.
Like, hey, marriage, Tom? Did you get married again? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Right. It's my turn. Go on, ask me a question. Any question?
Cool. There's an interesting one here, which says, with all the new creatures to become playable races, such as the Harrigan, the Coteau, and the fairies, updated to goblins and kobolds, which monster or classically monstrous creature do you want to play as, and what sort of...
Just after someone called for a pink goat wife, which is just a sentence now. It's just yes. I love my pink goat wife. Put that out. Oh wow, that is a clip. I play a lot of... I play a lot of quote-unquote monstrous characters because I don't like playing humans. And I don't like playing elves. I mean, it's D&D. I want to play something like... I like playing minotaurs. I like playing kobolds. I like playing what used to be called when I started playing the monstrous races because I think they're more interesting. And I think it's a chance to really play something a bit off the wall and different. Like, I love playing the Modron. I think that's amazing. It's one of my happy places. But if we're going like off the wall D&D monsters as player characters... I mean, Bullet Rogue, Owlbear Druid, and Tarask Paladin are all mentioned in the question, which are all really great ideas.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo I never got that I had commissioned years ago due to a in-joke in a home game where there was an in-game TV show which was My Little Pony, but it was called the Happy Owlbear Hour.
Oh.
and they were all owl bears with cutie marks that were all D&D character symbols, and I've got that somewhere. So all the owl bears as player characters is something I've considered before. However, they just put down playable beholder, and yeah, I need go no further. Playable beholder. What class? I don't care. Not thing is, if you're a beholder, wizard, or sorcerer, you have to blind yourself because of the anti-magic cone. That all seems very... beholder barbarian, that'd be fun. Because the eye rays presumably aren't spells, so I could do those while raging. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
You seem to be lost now in that thought of, oh god.
No. Again, without disclosing too much of what's coming up, non-traditional characters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting to me. And to have these characters turning up in places and then just saying, please don't freak out, I'm here to help.
If I'm a beholder barbarian, I'm being held back by the party at all times.
They're fine. They're fine. They're not fine. But yeah, no, I think while it's a very good question.
Sorry, Tom. Now, there's no need to hold weapons. I'm a beholder. I will shoot my eye rays while raging, and then I will headbutt people with my massive head, because I am all massive head, because I am a beholder barbarian.
Is that like a charge attack? You just...
I'm pretty sure there's a bite, but my thing with beholders is I know, because I've read some of the 3 ebooks that went really too much into detail on this, how beholders' stomachs work. But I've always thought that it's a mouth with no neck. Where does the food go? There is...
It's the same question we had with the Tarrasque.
Do you want to know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey, chat.
I could hold a great sword in the mouth. I could do an Akami sword in the mouth with a beholder.
Adorable. Yeah.
That's what. Yes, Cooper. That's genius. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, and they're difficult to ambush. Nosk, you're right. This is brilliant. We should do this.
Absolutely. Put it on the board.
Barbarian. It's going to happen. Yeah, put it on the board. But yes, when they consume food, they have stomachs in the back of their head that turn everything into a sort of thin pink paste that then gets exuded as part of the air and gas as they move around.
So do they leave like a little trail, little pink trails?
No, it's not visible. It's just there. Oh. So beholders are constantly shitting out of their pores.
Sexy.
Constant farting, but it's slightly more
like sloths constantly shitting.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Except it's not out of their pores.
Well, it all comes out somewhere. It's just my sister's a big fan of sloths, and I'm just like, here's that fact, and she's like, absolutely didn't want to know that.
All right, Tom, pass it back to you. What would you do? What would you play?
That's the thing. Again, like we've not disclosing too much of what's coming up.
Breathe in my extrusions. That's correct.
Yeah.
And yes, Cooper, a barbaric loincloth. Absolutely, regardless of the pointlessness of it.
Again, I'm going with pathos again, but
why?
I just love it. I love to suffer. I like the idea of like a gorgon or something where I'm just like, hi, I'm actually really sweet and friendly, but I know that if you actually, it's the danger of getting to know someone. It's like, if you ever look me in my peepers, it could go incredibly wrong.
In D&D terms, that's a Medusa, not a gorgon.
A Medusa
is a giant metal bull that breathes out petrifying.
Okay, I'm going to play that. I've changed my mind. I'm going to play a giant metal bull. Which is the same. Like, I've enjoyed playing Warforged, but that's the sort of thing of turning up and like,
no, they're natural. They're natural creatures. They're just made of metal.
I'm just made of metal.
I think
it's perfectly natural. Stop being scared.
If you breathe out your poison breath, they all become paralyzed, petrified.
Oops. I'm a cleric. Sorry. Terribly sorry. Clunk, 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 clunk. Have you heard the word of Clemvor? Clunk, 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 clunk.
Oh my god. Oh, that's great. I really like that.
Yes, so...
Have you heard the word of Kelemuvor? Healing word becomes problematic. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, I think Wow, it's a fun question. It is that it's one of the things I like about playing with you, where you just suddenly turn up, you're like, "Hey, new, we got this now." Or it's the same like playing with Sean, where Sean just turns up and is like, "I've created a new species."
Sean's created many new species.
I'm looking for the one shot where we all just like it's a different one of the Sean species. Where we're like
the Smithy special.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. You just play as like an artificer. Like,
Sean, you're in chat right now. I mean, yeah. There's either three. There's definitely two. There's definitely bees and pigs. Bee folk and pig folk. We've done.
I mean, you did Rat Folk, which was
Rat Folk. Yeah. Yes, we did Rat Folk as well. Yeah. That's right.
I think what else.
I mean, we joked on the Discord that he was doing pangolin folk at some point. But...
Adorable. They're just like. Hello, have you heard the word of Clemvor? I'm also part of this group.
Roll.
No. Pangolins, they always look like they're trying to ask you out on a date. I'm like, oh, I'm terribly sorry.
Sean points out that Rat Folk was me, and that is true. Rat Folk was what I wanted to do, but it's just a goblin reskinned. I've not done anything clever with it. Yeah. And Norse says that they want to play an Otyug, which is a great idea. Otyugs are great fun.
Otyug, friend and Otyug. Yeah.
Friendly neighbourhood Otyug.
Friendly. Yeah.
Otyug. Does whatever, eats all the rubbish.
Again, they just had their own portable rubbish bin. It's
Can
just...
they swing from a web? No, they can't.
They can't.
They're not to you. That is such a Simpsons rip. I cannot take credit for that. Right, that was that question.
Yes.
Oh, your turn. Ask me a question.
I've asked you a question. I asked you what animal, what
I passed
monster.
It back to you.
Well, you did a switcheroo.
I did a switcheroo. What are you going to do, Tom? It's a switcheroo.
What am I going to do about the switcheroo?
We're not quoting Saturday Night Live at each other, which is even weirder. What's the next line in that song? It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, the John Mulaney one.
Dad goes to school, son goes to work, and then the son has sex with the mum. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, that's
it's just awful.
I'm looking more and more appalled. They have a chance to talk to me in therapy every week.
We're now referencing something people probably haven't seen. Let's get on to a question. Yeah. We need questions.
Okay. So again, the recent Arkle shows, Viscous Cycle and Into the Wasteland, running concurrently, it meant that you were not running or appearing in at least one of the two mainstreamed games for the first time since it all began. How was it to sort of, take a step back? Was it a welcome break? Or was it strange not to have the usual stream to do? Obviously, a lot is going on behind the scenes. But what was it like?
Is it the first time? It might be. I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned it earlier, but I think it's part of the same thing. We've had more and more of our players wanting to have a go at DMing, which is good. And we've had more and more DMs on the channel who've done amazing different things and moved things in different directions because they all have their own tone and taste, and this is good too. I've always wanted to be in a position where the channel runs and people are making shows, and I don't need to be directly involved with them because it's not about me. And we've reached a point where that happens. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. It means I can spend more time organising editors and editing myself a little bit. It means, talking to new sponsors, talking to new people about partnered streams. We've got a couple coming up already. Yeah, I do love DMing and I love playing, and I do miss it when I don't for an extended period of time, but it's never that much of an extended period of time. There's always more shows, and we were starting to talk about characters and planning for Astral Sea before, at the top of the season when Wasteland and Viscous Cycle had already started. So yeah, there's always more stuff that is happening. The ability to go, there are all these wonderful people doing it and it's got nothing to do with me, is great, because it means that's then there's ownership, and there's people taking ownership and running things and doing it really, really well, and it's got nothing to do with my opinions or how I feel about things, because it shouldn't do. So that's nice. It's
like you said earlier about us not having campaign 1, campaign 2. There isn't a main cast, and then it's and then there's a few other people. It's a nice cycle, and it's sort of
I think it feels like proof that it's working. Because there was a time when we first started out and where I was taking a lot of responsibility and then trying to hand it off. I'm trying to give more people a chance to DM. I don't want to be the only DM on the channel. Trying to encourage people to try DMing if they've not tried it before. Trying to find players, which means there are loads of players. So we have a team of nearly 35 players. Trying to make sure all of them feel happy and comfortable and confident. Making sure that safety protocols are being upheld by everybody. And just going, I know that's all happening.
Yeah.
Off it goes. Off it goes over there, and that's really nice that it does, and it means I can watch the shows. And I can just go, oh, that's nice, and just watch it happen.
Be pleasantly surprised when stuff turns up. Like, oh,
yeah. Like, I mean, okay, for example, we have, as you are well aware, Tom, we have a DM chat part of our company Discord where we talk about things we are planning to make sure people are okay with, like characters being referenced or in-universe things being referenced, to make sure we have a together-verse that functions. There is a certain amount of interactivity there. Sean didn't tell me that there were rat folk looking for Muri. So in Viscous Cycle, I was watching it, and it's like, where's Muri? And I went, what? I'm watching a stream. This is nothing to do with me. They won't find me because I'm not there. But it was very much there's a reference to a character that I really enjoy and hope to play again at some point, and I'm not there. Interesting.
It is that delight of like watching, as I said, like creating this universe, and then you're like, oh, by the way, this is there. Or like same sort of thing where with Liz, it was like, by the way, Pip wrote a book, and I was like, I finally did it. I learned to read, and I wrote a book. You know,
no, it was dictated.
Dictated, yes, to but Enoch. I think Enoch started teaching Pip some letters, so Pip's moving off on the wiki. We have a list of illiterate characters because we seem quite Pip's learning his letters. So, yeah, it is that delight of just sort of going, oh, but then also there's sort of the fear of going, am I dead? Someone would tell me if I died, right?
One of the things we have enshrined is that you can't kill off someone else's character in another stream randomly unless you ask permission first.
But you could always kill off your own character.
Yes, you could always kill off your own character, of course you can.
Yeah.
That's always your prerogative.
Ilix is fine, everyone. Just saying it. Let's not look at the canon where I point out Ilix is becoming basically Jigsaw, but Ilix is...
This is only in your head. None of the rest of us are aware of this.
No, until I make it canon, and you all enter the maze of
Ilix Jigsaw. God.
So sorry. Do you want to play a game? Would you like that?
Now, I would really like that. I would love to play it together, but a lot of other people wouldn't. So
again,
Muri
put it on the board.
Muri would be perfect for a horror game where you're all in a Jigsaw-style trap.
I would legitimately love to run that just for this.
Just freak the fuck out.
But also for the fun thing of just going, and like this is the great thing, like solving D&D puzzles where you're like, I've got spells, I can teleport, and then just this thing going, no, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to learn a lesson. Stop that.
Oh, Tom, anti-magic the area outside, so you can't teleport out. Yeah. If you're going to be Jigsaw, you have to think about it like Jigsaw.
Well, that's probably why I keep getting beaten up by people getting out like, oi, I'm not cutting my foot off. I'm like, interesting, but what if you did? Do you regret your life's choices? Because you need to tell me if you regret your life choices. If
you want to break down the whole idea that Saw is this, I'm using horrific death traps to teach you lessons about your life, it doesn't actually make sense.
No. None of it makes sense. It's absolute nonsense.
It gets worse as the numbers go up.
I kind of love that it still exists, though. They're like, hey, now Chris Rock is having to deal with it. But they're like, could we make it a comedy? It's like, it's already comedy. It's just...
I've not seen that one. I've not seen The Book of Saw. I have no idea what that is. The last one I watched was Jigsaw, which is the one where it's all set in the future after he's dead. And then it looks like he might be alive, but it's not, because he set up somehow before all this happened, before the first one even happened, he set up all this stuff with an apprentice who we'd never seen till this point. It lost me a little at that point. It was a bit like
like all good D&D.
Come now.
Bad D&D that's been running for too long. You're like, okay, you've defeated my big bad in like the first few sessions. Actually, turns out no, had an apprentice and also has kidnapped your cat? Are you upset by that? Has that got you? Okay, fine. The cat's the cat. I put the cat on a little boat and it's going off to sea. You're like, bizarre choice. Thanks, Jigsaw.
Right. We've got time for one more question. We've gone through all the questions that came up in the Discord. I've not seen any new ones on Twitter. Chat, this is your chance. One last question. Ask away. The truth is out there.
Zone of truth.
No, we're not rolling a dice. That's not what's happening. We're not rolling a dice, kobolds. No, Tom, 10. Don't roll dice. No. I don't know what 10 means.
10. What's your favourite shape?
I don't really have a favourite shape. I'm an adult.
Coward.
Like, what's your favourite colour? I don't know. I'm a grown-up. I don't sit there thinking about what's happening.
Well, what's your favourite animal?
I don't know.
Is it the pangolin?
No.
Chat, what's your favourite animal?
Don't put this on the chat.
Hey,
no.
chat.
This is not questioning the chat.
Hey, chat, it's me, Tommy J.
Poppadoms or bread, Nat has asked, and I don't eat gluten, Nat, so the answer is neither. Oh, I'm such a fun interview subject. Yeah. Chris is a gazer. Partly true. Okay, right. Sean has asked what's coming up. Let's go with that.
Cool.
So, Tom, there's a lot of fun things coming up that you and I are both involved in.
Absolutely.
Oh, and there's another question there, which we'll do in a second. Talk me through what's coming up for you.
Well, as mentioned, I'm in the DM chat.
You are in the DM
because
chat.
I am DMing. Yeah.
Is it going to be really, 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 really sad? The whole adventure. The whole thing is pathos.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I have a 4-parter and I have a one-shot. The one-shot's already been done and was chaos. But
pure chaos.
Yeah. I think because I put on Twitter, I was like, I have 2 campaigns. The first one's like, well, if everything works out, you get 421 points of damage. Second one is, okay, you're jumping out the window, everything's on fire, and you've also lost your trousers.
That didn't really happen. So
yes, absolutely.
And the 4-parter, what direction is that moving in?
The 4-parter, without getting too spoilery, is a follow-up to a previous campaign. A rather large hook was left. One that Chris, his character, is helping resolve. There's some things that need to get returned and some missing people. So
I know what it is. I don't know why.
No, exactly. But I appreciate not the yes-anding, but like the moral support for that. As I said, that is one where I've been told that people are very, very powerful. So I am very subtly reworking some things just to go so you don't wipe stuff out.
Blow up the CR massively. Yeah, that's
yeah, pretty much. Or just going traps.
Traps. Cool.
Like having something walking in and going, okay, this is going to go off if you kill me. Need to give you some plot points first. You're like, okay, but no. So that's me. That's some exciting stuff, and maybe we've got something we need to record about nowish. But
well, I was going
see.
to say, I will drop a couple of hints about things coming up as well because. First of all, this is more or less of a hint and more of a factual statement. Chat, since you're here, and this will be a sort of soft launch of this. Next week's Anarchy in the Astral Sea is going to have to be postponed by a week due to, I think we said at the time, kobolds pouring marinara sauce all over the server.
Oh, for goodness sake, kobolds.
They really wanted to make their own pizzas.
I can't fault them.
Yeah. Anyway, that happened. So it will be pushed back by a week. So episode 3 will be next week, Monday. So on Monday, I know you wanted pizzas. I know you wanted pizzas, kobolds. I understand, but... well, anyway, so on Monday we have a one-shot. We have a lovely one-shot featuring some returning characters and some new characters, as per usual, and I'm DMing that. And it's called The Stuff of Dreams, but you will find out. Yes, your show is a curse, that is correct. But you'll find out more about that soon, but on Monday we will have a one-shot instead of Anarchy in the Astral Sea. Then on Tuesday we have Mercantile as per usual. We've also got a couple other one-shots we have recorded that will be scattered in amongst Anarchy and the rest of Mercantile Brog. There'll be some weeks off, basically. Or they might all come at the end. I don't know, there's a possibility.
What's time?
Tom's recorded his first one-shot, as discussed, that he DM'd, which is very, very funny and is tied into a upcoming product. So we'll be telling you all about that when the time is right. We're about to record another one-shot, which sees the return of Pip and Gertie. Doing stuff.
Baking.
Baking, Em says. We're doing baking. Yeah.
That's it. We're doing Bake Off.
We're doing Bake Off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Bake Off, basically.
Because we thought, who are two characters who need to do some baking?
Yeah, apparently Gertie's going to be in Bake Off. But yes, that is what we'll have, and that'll be a one-shot happening later in the season as well. And then next season, Tom's already given a hint at the 4-parter that he'll be running on Tuesdays, and then on Mondays, I'll be running a 12-parter, another full-length 12-parter. Also, one of the reasons I didn't DM this season was I wanted to give everyone a break before I shoehorned half the season for my damn show. I've been sitting on the idea for this for a year and a half, 2 years, long time, very long time, because I didn't want to take up 12 weeks worth of space without giving a lot of space to other people beforehand. So the time has come. There will be 12 weeks, and it is set. I think, may I reveal it? Tom, should I reveal it? Should I reveal it?
Go on. Little surprise, little treat for the
little
end.
Treat. It will see the return of a lot of characters you've already seen before, including some you've not seen for a very, very long time, including certain wizards and certain people with more than 4 character classes.
Well, that's just almost saying a name.
That would be nice. And they'll be exploring the ancient, mystical, famous ruins of Mithranor. But yes, more on that in the next couple of weeks. So look forward to those things. I think that's all of the Sousons we need to drop, and we're slowly running over time.
Yes, and I'm recording with you now.
Em's recording with us now, so we should probably wrap things up. Tom, what do you say?
Yeah. Let's do it. That's...
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for our live, legendary location. That's great. Our live talk together. Lots of lovely chats. Thank you all for joining us and being part of the show. As you know, we stream on Mondays at 6 p.m. and on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Those are our live streams, and there will be one-shots and continuations of campaigns in the next couple of weeks until we start with these 2 new campaigns we just talked about. And on Fridays, we also stream at 6, but only for an hour-ish. Talk together, where we talk to each other. And this one was live, but maybe in the future we'll try and do some other things, some similar things, I don't know. We shall have to wait and see. But anyway, I digress. All of our shows are streamed at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg and hosted on YouTube, and there's also podcast versions. Many thanks to the T20 Club. You're all lovely and awesome and special, and we couldn't do anything without you. And Tom, I don't like saying this because I don't feel I am particularly, but if you feel up to it, you're more than welcome to say it.
I have to say simply, please, stay classy at the table.
Thank you. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye.